On Tuesday, July 14th, we have a fascinating, powerful 6-month-long initiation of a karmic shift that through hard work, discipline, and commitment can illuminate the areas where we truly are ready to release the past patterns, both from this lifetime and maybe many other lifetimes, as well as our beliefs that came from the earliest memories and even precognitive memories. That's because this new moon in Cancer at 21 degrees 59 minutes, so just shy of 22 degrees, is making a conjunction to Mercury retrograde in Cancer and a square to a conjunction with Pallas Athena and Vesta, as well as a little bit of a wide square by 7 degrees to Saturn, still in Aries. And because, like everything else that every astrologer on YouTube is talking about right now, this new moon is happening in the context of that cradle configuration that's perfecting on the 19th or 20th, Jupiter opposing Pluto. There is an awakening because of the conjunction at the time of the new moon. Remember, it takes 6 months for a new moon to unfold until it becomes a full moon later in the fall. That has to do with our creative genius, our purpose, the wisdom we have within, karmic justice being served because of our hard work and effort. It's not going to come easy with Saturn in Aries. And same with Vesta. She's definitely about using intelligence and wisdom purposefully and with coherence and wise and true intention. There is a unique gift because of the new moon squaring that Saturn, Vesta, Pallas Athena, the goddess asteroids, in the sign of Aries, which is highly focused on the individual needs, the individual expression. It's a cardinal sign. It's about initiation and new beginnings through discipline, which actually Vesta, Pallas, and Saturn all represent. Vesta in mythology was actually the oldest of Saturn's children. We can expect to see, especially with that cradle formation, with all the outer planets configuring almost at 4 degrees together in just a few days after this new moon, there is change happening. Change based on slow, steady evolution over time. If this pertains to you, you know what I'm talking about. There are rich rewards available to us that are both fruiting and being seeded at the same time. And what I mean by that, and what I'm going to describe in this video, is there is a new version of us that has emerged that really has been liberated intrapsychically by the Saturn-Neptune conjunction on February 14th earlier this year in the sign of Aries at 0 degrees. Regardless of whether that hits anything specific in your chart, for me it happens to be conjunct my own Pallas Athena, and man, I can feel it. There is an old version of us that we are not going back to. And this particular really lovely, powerful, although, squares can be intense, new moon is a symbol of us getting very clear, committed, and steadfast with the new version of us that we can see, feel, and know more deeply at this time. Hi, I'm Amy Rose White. I'm an integrative psychotherapist. I've been doing that a couple decades, and I'm also a counseling astrologer. See the links to my free resources below, links to book with me, and my Chiron and Taurus healing kit. With this new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde, which is a state of reflection, revision, all the rewords that have to do with retrogrades of any planet, but especially Mercury, because it's about our mental thinking processes and our perceptions, which is also Pallas Athena. She's very much about what she can perceive, the bigger picture, the ability to see in the dark, the ability to see beyond worlds, which is why she was such a trusted advisor in the Hellenistic world. And because of how Saturn and Neptune have been working with Aries, where Pallas and Vesta are together at the time of this new moon, there's an enhanced sense as we reflect during this retrograde conjunct that new moon, where we have mistrusted ourselves and where we truly can trust our perceptions now moving forward. And from that place, what do we want to create? Vesta was a goddess of chastity in the sense of sacred rituals, sacred rites, and preserving the flame. Fire, of course, had enormous value for many reasons in the ancient world. And Vesta was assigned, along with the Vestal virgins, of maintaining, guarding, preserving that sacred fire of the city of Athens. But much more than being some, frigid sexual person that was chaste, it was more that she was devoted to one singular purpose and thus very disciplined in her sexual proclivities and activities, and engaged in lots of acts of and rites of purification when she did engage with men or whomever, I suppose, there was a sacrifice of marriage and children to be devoted to the guarding of that eternal flame. There's a connection to our deeper divine purpose that I feel is emerging because of the conjunction with the seer of all things, the wisdom and the devotion to principle via around justice and protection of the vulnerable, Pallas Athena, and devotion to the light within us. I've talked before about Vesta and the Kundalini Shakti and the awakening of our core vitality, which, at a new moon, the sun and moon are conjunct. It's the dark part of the moon, which is why we don't really want to do manifesting ritual, magic, new moon things when the moon is dark. We want to wait until the light begins to return and we see a sliver of the moon. Because in a way, just like in that Mercury cazimi that we just had, where Mercury is symbolically purified in the heart of the sun, in a way, the masculine and feminine archetypes are being purified and renewed with every sun-moon conjunction that is a new moon. And when that happens in the context of these squares, on the heels of that Mercury cazimi, so Mercury's retrograde, it's conjunct the new moon, and it just met in the heart of the sun. So there is something very, very new that is changed in the way that we think, in the way we perceive what we're devoted to, and really around the feminine archetypal power that lives within all of us, regardless of gender identity or assignment. And Pallas Athena, which is of course one of the archetypes of Venus, has just had a square to Uranus the day before this new moon. So there's an awakening and a liberation, and really kind of an explosion of powerful Venusian energy at this time. And if you're tuned in, it's my experience that you're feeling this and noticing it now. It might be you started singing again in the shower. It might be something as simple and mundane as that. It might be that the vision that you've had for yourself to go back to school, or to start a YouTube channel, or to begin giving a talk about something you're really passionate about, whether that's unicycling or herbal medicine. But that's starting to become more of a must do than a maybe one day, or I wish I could, or that's for someone else. Because the square forces action, there's something that's kind of coming to a head around how the past has shaped our personal identity and what we believe is true for ourselves. That's the tension in the square between Cancer and Aries. Because Aries is about the present and the forward, and Cancer is very much about the past. So where are we ready to leave the past behind, truly, permanently, karmically? And why I'm so excited, and I really mean it. It's not hyperbole in my thumbnail when I say change your past. Past karma can be altered. I truly believe that from a timeline perspective. I believe it. I believe that's actually why we're here. We certainly know there's a long history of astrological remediation for such, difficult aspects in the natal chart. This is a moment where that Uranus square Venus under that cradle formation, that I actually think is something else that I'm going to talk about in my next video coming out this week, is getting permanently psychologically liberated and expanded, because Jupiter is just moving into opposition with Pluto. At the same time, Uranus is trining Pluto. So Uranus trines Pluto a few days after this new moon, and then Jupiter moves into the opposition. This is a big deal, folks. These are outer planets making both tense and harmonious applications to a planet that makes permanent, lasting psychological change. What is revealed about ourselves and others and systems around the time of a Pluto transit, which of course Pluto is in Aquarius for quite some time, I think 17 or 18 more years, we don't go back to the way things were before that. Anyone who's experienced a hard Pluto transit knows that. There can be a death and a destruction of the old life, and a creation for sure of a new one, hopefully where we've picked our power back up. So Saturn, where we can meet up against the limits provided by old karma, is because of those Uranus and Pluto, Jupiter, Venus, square and opposition energies right around the time of this new moon, here to really say the time is now. Who am I now? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in the world? How honest am I willing to be with myself? What am I willing to come clean about? I recently found myself listening to kind of a drama triangle situation in my community here recently, and I had to acknowledge the ways in which it was very tempting for me to engage in that triangle as well. because I have my own mixed feelings about the situation. And I recently left a message for a friend just kind of naming that. I shared some information that I wanted to, but I also said I need to be mindful of not doing that because I know that I have Mars in the third house. It's very easy for me to want to gossip, which I think is I think is a very human, condition. And I think that gossip has served women and protected us for, millennia probably. But it's also not the highest octave of who I want to be and how I want to express myself in the world. But this is the truth telling time. How have I contributed to repeating karmic patterns in my life? What am I ready to mature out of? What am I just done with? I've suddenly made the decision to grow out my gray hair. I don't know if you can, well, it's not really gray. It's mostly white, except for like this section. There's a lot of women my age who are doing that. Saturn's going through my first house. I never thought that I would embrace that. And I might, I reserve the right to completely change my mind. But there's something about letting myself, of dropping the control that, this illusory control that we tend to have as women around looking younger, and really embracing the fact that this is what my hair is doing now. And whether other people think that I look Saturnian, more mature or older than I am, is so much less relevant to me today, since Saturn has entered my first house this year and a little bit last year, than it ever has been. And that's surprising to me. Uranus, it's like I'm thinking differently. Uranus and Gemini in my third. I'm thinking differently suddenly about it. Now, this is just a silly thing. It's just hair, right? But being an Aries rising, for all of us, somewhere Aries is in our chart that is related to a sense of identity and initiation, and where we want to start fresh and new because of that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. This sounds extreme, but the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is flavoring the rest of our lives, especially if it hits something specific in your chart. And even if it's just in an angular chart, the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, or the 10th. But regardless of where it is, there's something new. There's an old structure dissolving and something new being created. So at this time, it's very much about determining what's the truth for us right now and what are we actually willing to do. It seems like a small thing to just stop going to your hairstylist. It's an act of devotion and commitment to who I actually am now, Vesta. And in a way, wrinkles and white hair, which I get, I did go gray early. I started getting gray hair early in my 20s. And, I'm only 50 to have white hair, but I know I'm in good company. It's also, to me, an homage to my ancestors and to the wisdom. I always say this really started coming in when I had my second child. Those boys kept me running, having them 2 years apart. But, all of that is a reflection of hard-earned wisdom and experience. So your meditation for this Cancer new moon is, what am I really willing to commit to now that is authentically, genuinely me? That is so much about the goddess asteroids, Saturn, what we've gotten through, maturity and wisdom. What at this point am I willing to let go and completely embrace moving forward? For me, that is being a white-haired 50-year-old psychotherapist astrologer on YouTube. Random. But that's me. And it feels much more empowering than any other version of me that's ever existed. So what is that for you? Your mantra, remember, look in the mirror. This is the mirror work, left eye. Take a few deep breaths. Ask for guidance and angelic support. That's something you work with, or your guides. Left eye. I allow my old karma to fall away as I step into a powerful new future. And your mantra for the new moon is, I trust my mind and my heart to tell me the truth of what is needed now. I hope this was useful for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for hyping and sharing the video. People have been doing that recently. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I really do. I read all of your comments and try to respond to every single one of them. Be sure and see everything on my website that's available for free and my Chiron and Taurus healing kit. If you liked this video, please check out these ones above, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.